Well, Urbis is, of course, home to Channel M today. It's where I am right now. The council have already said they'll look at ways of rehousing the channel when the museum does eventually move here. With me now, Vaughan Allen, who is the chief executive of Urbis. Welcome to Channel M today.
Thank you, Andy.
Is this good news for Manchester, Vaughan?
I think it's very good news for Manchester. Manchester is identified all around the world with football. To have the National Football Museum here is going to be great for the city, and it's great for the city's self-identity, and it's great long-term for the city's branding around the world as well.
But is it good for Urbis?
I think in terms of making sure that there's a long-term sustainable future for this building, and also a sustainable future for the type of attitude that we've brought to exhibitions around popular culture, which is really why the city was really interested in bringing the Football Museum here, because they knew that we did popular culture particularly well, and they wanted to see what we could do with football. You
imply by that answer that the building didn't have a long-term sustainable future without a football museum?
I think it could have survived, but there's a couple of things that come along with the Football Museum decision. One is capital money to actually spend on the building, hopefully in terms of improving its commercial its ability to earn money, basically. And that's going to be really important. Someone described it as a
massive white element since it's opened.
It's an interesting building and a challenging building. And I think in terms of the last 3 years, we've massively increased visitor numbers, we've massively increased what we do in terms of commercial profits. But to actually have some capital to spend on the building to improve those commercial potentials and to associate those with football is going to be really good. The other thing that it brings is a collection. We only do temporary exhibitions. Everybody in the arts, everybody in every sphere of life with the recession over the next couple of years is going to really struggle for finance. If you actually have a collection, if you can't afford to do temporary exhibitions, at least you've got something that you can show.
Lots of football fans are very pleased, but you refer to your exhibitions here, of which there are many fans. Where does the stuff that Urbis does now go when the Football Museum comes here?
Well, there's a few elements to that. In the new Football Museum at Urbis, we will be using what we know how to do well, which is present popular culture in a really exciting and interesting way.
So but you're not going to do a hip-hop exhibition?
We're not going to do a hip-hop
exhibition. That kind of thing, or no. The Hacienda exhibition. Where would stuff like that find a place in Manchester?
Well, we've got two basic roles that probably there won't be any room for. One is certainly in terms of hip-hop, in terms of some of the music stuff that we do. The other one is really in terms of the showcase for Manchester stuff, the sort of Best of Manchester awards that we do, which is about supporting the creative industries in Manchester. For both of those, we're looking at where we could move those to elsewhere in the city.
Because they are important parts of Manchester's cultural life, aren't they?
Yeah, and over the last couple of years, they've actually got more and more successful and got more and more important. And Manchester does see itself as a city whose future is going to be based on the creative industries, on the digital industries. Urbis supports that and presents that in a way that nobody else does. So we have been having very initial discussions with people about where some of those things that wouldn't fit in the Football Museum at Urbis could potentially move to.
OK, let's talk timings. I mean, this isn't going to happen overnight, but when, for example, will the refit start? When does Urbis close and reopen as a football museum?
Well, the earliest Urbis is going to close is going to be the end of February next year. That might slip a bit. So it's going to be spring next year, basically. Because we haven't really even started on the detailed planning of what might go on the exhibition floors.
You haven't had to build around with an estimate
We
yet.
haven't had to build around with an estimate, no. Which is going to be an interesting one, I'm sure. When that planning starts, we'll know how long that build's going to take. But what we're looking at probably is sometime summer 2011. So we'll close spring next year, probably be a 12-month build, maybe 18 months at the absolute outside, but we'd be eager to be open for summer 2011.
And will you stay and run it?
I'd be very interested in making sure that it works. It's going to be a unique proposition, and I want to make sure it works.
Thanks very much indeed for your time. We will follow it fairly obviously, given our interest as well, very closely. Vaughan Allen, thank you.